Hey everybody, welcome back to day 2 of the chronic pain solution. Today, we are going to be talking about understanding triggers and managing pain flares. Yesterday, we talked about the nervous system sensitivity and how it plays a role in chronic pain. Hopefully, you did your homework and took a look at that inventory and feel confident that that is indeed part of your pain picture. And we are going to build on that foundation by exploring triggers. Those are things that can increase your pain and learning how to better manage our pain flares when they happen. Because if we can stay calm during pain flare, it or calmer, if you will, it can really reduce the length of that flare. So by understanding your triggers and your plan, it won't feel so overwhelming and you'll be able to move through it with less emotional pain and suffering, and it'll probably go faster. So, what are pain triggers? Well, they're all the things, big and small, that increases your pain. And they vary from person to person because everybody's nervous system is different, right? So this also explains why, like, your friend loves floating in the sensory deprivation float tank and you prefer gua sha or being scraped like with Grest and stuff, right? And one of those things helps you and hurts your friend, and one of those things helps your friends and hurts you. Well, it's not necessarily because, floating in water or using gua sha is right or wrong, or one is more effective than the other. It's the way that you as a human being and your nervous system respond to those sensations. So just know everything that we do in physical therapy, massage therapy, chiropractic care, and a lot of the things that we do in pain management are kind of like a coin toss. They're like about the same as placebo. So if one of those things isn't working for you, but you've been told it's the thing, stop. Save your money, try something else. Okay. So, what like categories can we fit triggers into? Well, I would say there is the physical category. We can overexert ourselves, we can lift things that are too heavy, we can stay on our feet longer than our body is currently prepared to be on our feet for, right? These are things that as we have accommodated our pain and done less and less, the days that we try to do more, we're often overtaxing our tissues because we haven't built up to that. So it would be like saying, hey, you know what? I don't run at all. I haven't run in, 6 years, but I'm going to go sign up for that marathon, run it, and expect to be okay. That's what a lot of us do with our physical bodies and our physical capabilities after being in chronic pain for so long. And because we tend to think of them as normal things, we don't really think about the fact that we're not prepared physically to do them yet. Other physical things would be things like changes in the weather, the chair that you sat on, lack of sleep, food that goes in your body, right? These are all things that can trigger you physically. Emotionally, stress, anxiety, frustrations, fear, all of anger, those all, guilt, shame, those all tend to be things on the emotional side of things that can increase our experience of pain. Or how about environmental? Cluttered spaces, loud noises, bright lights, tight clothes, um, chewing, right? That's a real thing. A lot of people get really affected by chewing, high pitched sounds. Those are all things that can be part of your environment that increase your pain. And the tricky part is that sometimes these triggers aren't really obvious. For example, you might feel fine while you're gardening, but then you notice the pain the next day. And that's why identifying some of these things does require some reflection on your part. Like, I can give you the tools, right? I can share with you the things that you need to look at, but at the end of the day, you're the one that needs to be able to look at them and assess, what do you think's going on here? This should not be shocking to anybody, but when you understand your triggers, you're better able to understand your pain. Think of it like this. If you know that certain activities or situations or people tend to make your pain worse, you can either avoid them or you can prepare for them, and you can manage their effects more effectively. It's not about avoiding life altogether. That is absolutely positively not what I want for you. I want you to be able to engage in your life, but it is about being intentional and finding ways to adapt. Okay. When we are aware of what's causing an increase in our pain, that also tends to reduce fear, which also tends to reduce pain and flares. So when we know we're going to make a choice to do something, see someone, put ourselves under stress that typically triggers our pain, we are now also in control of the decision to do that. So it no longer feels like the pain is attacking you out of nowhere, like you're just being punished for trying to live your life. You know you've made a decision and you can prepare for that. You can have extra meds on hand. You can you can plan a day of rest. You can shorten your amount of time in the situation that you know is going to cause pain because you know it's going to cause you pain in a couple days, right? Awareness is the first key to healing, right? So let's talk about flares. I like the word flare because it always felt like somebody like added fire to my butt because my pain was in my butt and low back. And to me, a pain flare is just a temporary increase in pain. And they can feel incredibly overwhelming. They can feel like we're more broken. They feel like we're more fragile. But when we understand that they are part of our nervous system keeping us safe, like a warning, letting us know that maybe we've gone too far, we've taken on too much, the load that we're holding is too heavy, be that emotional, physical, or environmental, and we need to do something about that, right? Maybe it's not our tissue that's broken, maybe it's our life. Maybe our life is a little broken and we need to look at it, right? So a flare plan is like an emergency kit, right? It's a list of strategies that you can use when your pain spikes that help you feel prepared and supported and enable you to get through it without losing your mind like so many of us do when we have pain flares, right? Nobody likes them. They all suck. So your flare plan may include things like resting in a way that feels restorative. That may not be sleep. That may be reading a book. That may be turning down sounds in the house. That may be going to a dark room. That may be doing something like a body scan or breathing. Maybe your plan is going to include gentle movements or stretching or particular PT exercises that you find help. Maybe it's going to reduce uh, muscle tension. Maybe it's going to reduce stiffness. Maybe it's just going to remind you that it's safe to move, right? But these can be things that are part of your plan. Maybe you'll have distractions like watching a favorite movie, listening to music that you enjoy, podcasts, texting with a friend, right? Maybe your kit will include soothing tools like ibuprofen, Tylenol, prescribed medications that you were supposed to use as needed, heating pads, cold packs, relaxation techniques, little visor for your face that like vibrates and massages your face, right? And plays pretty music. Uh, your flare plan should be full of things that make you feel better. That's that's what a flare plan is. And the more categories that we can fill with things that might help us, the more robust our flare plan is, right? And I have a course that it's an hour-long course and it helps you plan out your flare plans. And one of the other things that I recommend is making sure that you have people that can help with certain things in your life that may need help with while you're in your flare up, right? All right. So here is our activity for the day. Okay. Um, I want you to think about, I'm so sorry. I want you to think about your most recent flare. What were you doing before the pain increased? In the 24 to 48 hours before your pain increased? And what were the physical, emotional, and environmental factors that may have played a role in your flare? In your workbook, there is a little worksheet for this. That's your homework. And you can use a journal, you can use the worksheet that I've provided to jot down these reflections. But this exercise is intended to help you notice patterns and to start to connect the dots between pain and potential triggers. I would like to remind you that one of the best parts of this workshop is the ability to connect with others that understand what you're going through. This is the first time I've done it through email. I've always done it live through my Facebook group. So if you feel comfortable, I encourage you to share some of your identified triggers in the Facebook group. And you can share maybe a strategy or two that you use, even if it's something simple. This helps us to build a supportive space where we know that we understand each other. During my 6-month program, Moving Beyond Pain, we take this work even further. We'll refine your flare plan. We'll explore strategies that are personal to you in how to manage. And just know that it's all about giving you tools to manage your pain so that you can live a bigger life. So as you go through today's exercise, please, please, please remember to be kind to yourself. Triggers aren't always something that you can completely eliminate. Sometimes we need to acknowledge that they're there and we're going to happen. But by understanding them, we can take back some of the control and we can feel more prepared for what's coming in our lives. Okay? I will see you in the next video for homework, and thank you so much for joining me today.